a structure of mystical and alien origin, emanating particles of abstract perspectives and reflection into the expansive nightscape to those who know where to listen. This is Monolith the Mythos, the Monstro Studio podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Monolith the Mythos, the Monstro Studio podcast. Yes. That's right. You're here with us once again with Trey Spells and myself.
And we are on episode 7.
Lucky 7.
Lucky 7. Take me to heaven.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an interesting week, you know.
Yeah. It's been all right.
We're still seeing how this 2020 goes.
We're halfway there, though.
Halfway there, yes. We're halfway. Man, this year's going by fast, too. Oh, man.
It actually is. Some parts it's going by slowly, but now it's starting to kind of pick up, which is good.
Yeah. When you realize you're in July and you realize that, like, you can't go anywhere and do much and just time is flying. So all you got to realize is you got movies, music, entertainment just to keep you going.
Yeah.
And
I know I've been trying. Well, ever since I'm trying, I've been trying to like do more movies and stuff.
Yeah,
like watch more whatever's out there, like all the things that I have had in the back burner, but never got around to checking out.
Oh, like movies to watch and shit.
Okay,
yeah.
I feel like this podcast is helping out with that too.
Yeah, makes you watch quite a few more films than you usually would.
Oh, definitely. Like, you know, that's good for, you know, myself, as in isolated. Not really. Like, I'll have, like, you and Justin over sometimes, but no, not really anybody else, not really going out doing anything else, which, you know, with 4th of July weekend coming up, that's going to make things a little weird.
Yeah.
Like, do you have anything planned going on for the weekend?
Well, this actually might be the first 4th of July that I actually don't have anything going on, and I kind of want it that way. You know, I want a holiday where I prepare myself like, hey, people are out there doing things, and you know what? I'm not going to do anything because I'm just going to follow the rules of the state, you know what I mean? I'm just going to stay home. But then again, I know a lot of people aren't going to be doing much because they can't do much, you know, but I'm going to probably notice a lot of barbecues at home, a lot of fireworks at home, and if you maybe could see fireworks from that your place, or you know, out in your a lot of backyard things happening. I would say. I could go to.
I actually kind of forgot about the fireworks shows.
Yeah, they're some of them are still happening. I know the one in Mesa is still happening, but I wonder how it's going down though. That's the question.
Yeah. Because they're probably not going to be having a gathering at Chappie Town Beach Park.
Yeah.
Like, which is where like they usually have the fireworks go off around here.
Yeah.
So I guess they're probably still doing that because a lot of people can still see them from their yards or whatever. So
it's like they're still going to have the fireworks show just without people. Yeah. I mean, I guess if you can see them from your house, it's more like when I really think about it, it's just like, isn't even worth it. But I'm just like, it's America's holiday. You know, like they're still gonna do it no matter what. They'll do it with gas mask on.
Yay!
You know,
go America, go!
Yeah, exactly. And they're gonna
get that enthusiasm back.
They're not gonna hear any cheering in the background. You know, they're just lighting fireworks off. But so my plans are really basically nothing. If something comes up, it comes up. If not, I am prepared for it and I'm good, you know. I saw some fireworks just recently. I was watching a movie earlier this week and I saw some on my patio just like popping off. I'm like, wait, what are they doing? It's not 4th of July yet. Hey, they were going off for like a good 10 minutes and I could see them. I was like, hey, this is a good 4th of July for me. And then plus I'm next to that canal right there, so maybe I can see. I don't have anybody blocking my view right there, so maybe I could see some. You never know. So that's my plans.
Oh yeah. So. You have a really good spot. Out your front door.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in love that you could just walk out there and there's not a building in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the patio. Like, there's not a building in front of me. It's just some trees. You got the front door. It's a dog park.
Quite nice.
Yeah. Like, we chose a good spot because we had 4 to choose from. We're like,
cool.
These are all terrible views. So, yeah. Did you have anything planned for 4th of July?
Honestly, not really. I do have tomorrow off from work that they give us for holiday. But I'll probably just either just spend it at home, or if my girl wants to do something, I'll probably hit her up later.
This is for Friday, right, though?
Yep.
Okay, Friday, yeah. Is that July 3rd?
But also, but I might as well just bring it up, too. I also want to get tested tomorrow for COVID.
Oh, look at you go.
I know. I already have the appointment set up. I'm doing one of those drive-through appointments at CVS.
Is that what they are? So is there a line too?
I'm not sure. I want to say that there is going to be a line, but it's also 10-minute apart appointments.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure it's per person, so I don't know if you could have a car full of people to get tested, or if it's just one at a time. Well, one test per car.
Yeah. And you said
I guess I'll find
CVS
out
parking lot, right?
Yeah, there's a few select CVSs that are doing these tests.
Okay, well,
and they say it's no money out of pocket, and your insurance will cover it, which I do have, so that should be good.
So the most of the time I keep seeing people Snapchat them in line and stuff. I don't think they're going to CVS. I feel like they're going to hospital drive-throughs, but maybe it is a CVS. Some of them will be waiting in line for 45 minutes to an hour.
I hope I'm not.
Believe it or not, I had a cousin that went yesterday. I don't know if I told you, and she was with a buddy and they were getting the test, and they ran out of gas as soon as it got.
Oh no!
So, yeah, and it's all true because she has to Snapchat everything. It's a TV show, and she even Snapchatted the
Nobody
doctor.
else is going to document her life.
Yeah, nobody else is going to do it. So that she Snapchatted the doctors and nurses, apologizing to them, just and they're walking away from the truck. I'm just
why are they sorry? They're not the ones that didn't fill her gas.
I was like, what are they doing? But I'm thinking, okay, I get it though. 45 minutes, and it is hot outside. So, your car is running, but it's you probably should go there with a full tank. They should probably say that on the news before you go to these things, Go there with a full tank in case, AC starts running or just your car's running, right?
In case you're going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
Which, all the more power to all the social workers and, pharmacists or... minute clinics, at CVS's, people working outside the hospitals, nurses, all that for, putting up with all this shit.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I could do it. That's some serious patience, and I'm terrible with patience. So, shout out to them doing all that.
Are you terrible with patience?
Yeah.
Assisting patients? Or
no. Patience.
Waiting for... Patience with patience.
No, not the patience. No, not with the people, but just doing that same thing over and over. Just I wouldn't have the patience for it. I need to go out somewhere. I need to go check my phone or something. You know what I mean? What's new on YouTube? But
still, I made a punny.
Yeah. Yeah. So shout out to them. Hope they're
hell yeah.
It's a tough job. Especially them standing out in the heat too. I didn't even think about that either. They have to stand out there. They're just your In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A workers standing out there in the heat taking your order.
Exactly. They don't get enough. Whatever they get, it's not enough.
Exactly. Oh,
Chick-fil-A, yo.
Find them some shade.
Well, maybe not Chick-fil-A. Maybe somebody that's not,
Oh, okay.
donating to hateful groups or whatever, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Nurses, they don't care who you are; they'll still treat you.
So 4th of July. So that's your July 3rd plan, right?
Yeah.
And then 4th of July. Did you have anything going on that day?
I don't know. Maybe my parents will barbecue something up. they've been doing barbecues every weekend because we have a new barbecue, and also because why not?
Yeah, why not?
So,
dude, that's all you gotta say is a barbecue, like that, and you could be satisfied with that. You know, barbecue it is.
I'll probably watch some random stuff too, but knowing me, it might just be more YouTube.
Yeah, I every holiday,
and also just nothing worth talking about either.
Yeah, and you know, since the whole COVID stuff shit started, it's like every holiday that goes by. I think we've had Easter. I'm not gonna count Cinco de Mayo. Mother's Day, Father's Day. Was there another one I'm missing?
St. Patrick's Day. That probably also falls in the line of Cinco de Mayo.
Well, St. Patrick's Day was like right at the beginning. I think the COVID shit starting stuff down was right at the beginning of Aries season, was like March 21st. So it was like it was like the last holiday right before a bunch of shit started closing up. And start getting all
things started to take into effect.
Yeah. So every holiday is just it feels like a little what do you call that? Something in a timeline, we're at a certain point, you know, and it makes you evaluate. To me, these holidays are making you evaluate yourself, who you're around, what you're doing at that time, you know, compared to being in the robot versions that we are on these holidays. Because I feel like I find holidays very weird, you know, because they're very government structured. Like, oh, we're programmed to go do this and celebrate that way. You know what I mean?
Or you have to go out. Or you have to, you know, you have to dress in green, or else, you know, you get a pension.
Yeah, you gotta go buy some sparklers.
No, fuck off.
Buy
Get those fingers away from me.
Exactly.
Gotta look at the pretty lights in the sky.
Yeah. You gotta go buy some sparklers for 4th of July, or you're not having a good time. It's just the way it is. So holidays are just like, they're all up in the air for now, you know?
Yep.
Someone, I saw someone post on Instagram, like, Halloween is actually all year long this year. And that's what it seems like, you know, like, it's spooky. It's spooky times.
Spooky.
I mean, they're not...
You could also...
What's that?
You can also dress up in your own leisure time. You don't necessarily... You can just...
Yeah.
It's the perfect time to, like, you know, I've always wanted to try out, like, dyeing my hair or maybe painting my nails.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get that piercing. I'll go to Hot Topic when they reopen. I'll buy the piercing and do it myself at home.
There you go.
That there's no way that could go wrong.
Yeah. I'm sure your job won't mind. As long as
what job?
Yeah. As long as you don't have the virus, you can dye your hair whatever color you want nowadays. Things are changing. Anyways, that's the world for you. So
yeah.
We watched a movie earlier this week.
Early on, we did. We got together and we saw Chappie.
Chappie, that's right. And I've been wanting to watch this for quite a while. I've heard.
Oh, yeah?
For some reason, just because it's just it's a robot film, and I know the director, you know, directed Elysium or Asylum, whatever you want to call it, District 9. I was a fan of those films, and you know, Chappie was the next one, and I was like, I'd never seen it, and it took me 5 years to watch it.
Yeah,
but I finally
District
did.
9 is quite good.
So it's directed by Neil. Well, it's directed and written by Neil Blomkamp, starring Sharto Copley, Del Paddle,
Slumdog.
Yes, from Slumdog Millionaire. You got Ninja and Yolandi Visar.
Yeah. Die Antwoord. Die Antwoord.
Whatever pronunciations you guys prefer. And Hugh Jackman. And then we had a special one I thought was kind of interesting was Sigourney Weaver. Is that your name?
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver.
The Star of Alien.
She showed up and said some lines.
Yeah, every now
That's
and then.
about it.
Yes, exactly. You know, I forgot she was in Avatar too.
Was she?
Yeah, she was the like one of the doctors or something like that like
Really?
was against like the
Wow.
military trying to run all that shit. But it's just like
Wow.
it's because Avatar is so old, and you're just still
It
waiting for
is.
you're waiting for Avatar 2. It's just like you
Mhm.
forgot who even was in the first one. You know what I mean? It's the longest sequel I've ever seen in my life. Like,
You said you've been wanting to watch Chappie for some time.
mm-hmm.
I wasn't really here or there with it because I really did like District 9.
Have you always heard about it
Um,
though?
I've always like heard about Chappie mainly from like at first I've heard about it from people just like comments or posts like on Facebook or
Yeah, me
YouTube
too.
comments of of actually people saying that they weren't really into it, that it was like characters making poor decision after poor decision, and I could see where they're coming from with that. And also just the Rotten Tomatoes score is like what at the time was like 32%, I think.
Oh, that's not good, right?
No, no, no. A
Less than
fresh
50.
tomato is like over 60.
Okay. I gotta
So
get I gotta learn Rotten Tomatoes scores.
like I've learned like over time, you don't really gotta listen to like Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb scores,
They
Metacritic
judge hard
scores
though,
like that.
right?
Some judge more harshly than others, and
Mm-hmm.
and usually the case of that is like where they're coming from is not good.
Is that where
Like
they separate the reviews from critics and fans? Or
yeah,
okay,
Rotten Tomatoes does do that. They have their own separate score for
okay,
critics and just moviegoers, like random people that rate the movie.
yeah. I probably should get more into Rotten Tomatoes and learn how their rating system works.
I need to also like I also need to remember that Letterbox is a thing that exists. So
I stopped using it. I want to use it more, but the app is just kind of boring. You know what I mean? Like,
a little bit. It
I
needs more pizzazz, but
yeah, exactly.
for what it does, I feel like it's pretty good.
It keeps track though.
Mm-hmm.
And it dates everything, which is kind of nice. Speaking of
Mm-hmm.
dates, Chappie came out in March 2015, if anyone's wondering.
Okay. Oh wow, 2015.
Yeah, so it's 5 years old.
Wow, it's been out for a while,
Yeah.
and still like I'm pretty sure even back then, like the robot effects were still like holding, like they held up really well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
that's another thing I've heard about this movie is that it's one of the best 4K Blu-rays you can buy.
oh, really? Wow.
Because you really get to see the detail in the robot and how well that the CG robot is blends in with the real world,
Mm-hmm.
and how like just the effects of everything was
I could
really
see
well
that.
done.
I love the colors too of the film.
Mhm.
Everything was like for being like trying to be dark world and but newish
Kinda
at the
bleak,
same
yeah.
time. It was very like when I think of it, it's like very turquoise, like type colors,
Yeah.
turquoise, yellow, Hugh Jackman's clothes, you know, they cracked me up.
His mullet, his
Ye-
polo shirt,
yeah,
crocodile hunter shorts.
yeah, Steve Irwin,
So yeah,
Steve
his
Irwin
Steve
shorts.
Irwin shorts.
yeah,
And in case you couldn't tell that his character was Australian, they also gave him a rugby ball.
hmm
He
yeah,
carried it around like almost throughout the movie to places where he had no business to bring it in, just to remind you that he's an Aussie.
Yeah.
That makes him a bad guy.
yeah, exactly. So what did you think of the story to it? Him being
Honestly,
reprogrammed.
I had
guess?
a different idea of like what the story was gonna be. So watching it unfold in the movie, like I didn't want it to like the way that it actually went from what I was thinking. Like I wanted to say that I didn't want that to kind of underwhelm me, because the way I thought that it was gonna go, it was gonna be kind of like a Frankenstein's monster sort of thing, where we follow Chappie gaining sentience, escaping from the robot like police robot building facility. He's kind of like living kind of like on his own for a while. He picks up some things, learning some stuff, and then he runs into Ninja and Yolandi, gets into some gang shit, and from there on he meets up back with Slumdog Millionaire, and and from there, that's when he kind of like starts to learn. Does he want to be, a good sentience or bad sentience? Does he want to be good robot, bad robot? Does he want to live a life of good? Does he want to do crimes and maim people and stuff like that? And you don't really get something like that in how it plays out in the actual movie.
Yeah.
Because, like, honestly, the story does not have, like, a through line theme, or, like, it doesn't have, like, an underlying question for it.
Yeah,
like,
I could see that.
Like, at the end of the movie, you don't know, like, what the story is going for. You don't know what it wants to be.
Well, in my opinion, I feel like the characters were the only interesting thing out of this film. And they're trying their best, but like you said, the story was very lacking, and I don't know where it was going.
Story's lacking, but like, I can't really say that the characters were very interesting on their own.
Well, I mean, I just think of Die Antwoord. I'm just like,
they were just playing themselves mainly.
Yeah,
like,
maybe that's why I found that
themselves.
interesting. I'm just like, what are they gonna do next? They're the only questionable ones.
Yeah,
like Ninja, like he's ready to pop off, but he's trying to be friends at the same time.
Questionable, but in a good way. Everyone else is questionable in a bad way. You're questioning their actions.
Yeah.
Like with Slumdog, he's like telling Chappie, don't let anybody tell you, what you can and can't do. And then 5 seconds later, he's telling him, no, you cannot do crimes. Don't do crimes because that's bad. So he's like right away in the same scene.
Yeah.
He's going against what he said. And that brings up to what I was saying earlier, is that the story doesn't know what it wants to be about. And that's really the fault. Like, everything just comes down to that fault.
Yeah.
And it really drags the whole movie down, even though, like, there's some fun scenes. The character, like Chappie, the naive innocence, he's fun to watch, and like his accent is really funny. I don't know if it's because he was like they're in South Africa, or because he's mainly learning his slang from the Hispanic guy that they're called American or America.
Yeah. By the way, the movie was filmed in South Africa, so that's kind of interesting.
Yep, that's like Neil Blanc. I guess Neil Blanckamp is like South African, so like that's where
okay,
that's where District 9 was set in films.
Okay.
And also Die Antwoord, they're South African. They're South African, so it makes sense to throw them in. But it also like all the actors in the movie, they're just it's like a weird casting.
Yeah, it is a weird casting.
A weird collection of these actors.
I want to so I've been trying to learn as I'm watching movies and learning reviews and stuff like that. I'm trying to learn about the acts, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
The 3-act structure.
Is it 3? Does it only go up to 3?
There's 3, but there's also 5. But they can be interchangeable. These 3 parts can be the 3-act structure as well as setting up like 5 acts. So they're interchangeable.
So a common movie would be 3, basically,
yeah.
And then what's the 4th and 5th? It just depends on the story, kind of.
They're almost like the same thing. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I know the first act is like setting. The second act is the rising incident. Like, it's where like the story actually starts. The third is like I want to say the rising action. 4th is the climax, and the 5th is the resolving, or like kind of like the drop in story, where everything kind of like gets resolved in some way.
I feel like Hollywood movies, when I listen to reviews, they only like top out at 3, and maybe that's just because that's how Hollywood movies are, compared to like a movie that actually has a really good story and goes up and down, right? Like,
yeah, it's definitely more like easier to follow.
Okay, yeah, because most reviews I listen to, they don't talk about an Act 4 and Act 5. I've never heard of that yet, so that's why I was wondering about that. Maybe because of the reviews I'm watching on these certain movies, they just top out at 3.
I mean, technically, like you can fit in like Act 4 within Act 2, and then Act 5 is like just
Okay, yeah, I see.
Or actually, no. The fourth and fifth act you can put in as Act 3. You can kind of think of it that way.
Yeah.
And then like the first act is like 1 to 2, and then like the second act is like 2 to 3.
That's interesting. And it reminds me of like Inception or something. Like Inception is like acts. I think acts are depending on each other almost, right? Because you get your setting and you're rising at almost like the first act, and then it just goes back and forth. Like, do you know how to explain that one? Like when it comes to acts, the movie Inception, when it keeps going back to the same dream, all that type stuff.
So I kind of get what you mean, but that's still all part of the rising action.
Okay. All right.
Because you're building up, even though you're going down deeper into dream levels. They're going down, but that's the story's still building up.
So you could still go deep in a certain act without it being a different act, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and you can still have like moments where things kind of cool down, but then they kind of start going up again.
Yeah.
Those are still all part of the rising action.
Let's wrap up Chappie. IMDb give it a 6.8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. I want to give it a 5, but it sucks because
bro, that's what I was
good.
thinking too. Yeah, I was about to give it a 5 too.
But honestly, like, and I probably would watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
But like not as like a guilty pleasure movie, not because the story was all that interesting, but I don't know. Chappie was kind of fun. The robot's character.
Oh
itself.
yeah, he made you fall in love with him for a fucking robot.
Yeah.
So I loved his personality. Do you think it's because he started off as like a little baby, like baby mentality, learning to grow up? So you're just
maybe.
So it's not
and
like.
Then,
You're learning that you can actually teach this robot to be whoever your personality is going to be.
I guess so. And I guess you can kind of relate to like what he chose. Oh, I would want to be a gangster too. I would want to be cool. I would want to be cool like that too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just wish the story was better.
Yeah, dude.
He had a co-writer with Chappie. So I don't know if Neil Blomkamp was like more at fault, or the co-writer was more at fault with how everything turned out. Maybe it was also just because of all the people that they were getting in.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, Hugh Jackman is Australian, so we gotta make his character Australian as fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta make him super aggro and like an asshole, and we also have to make him like a devout Christian as well. Just so everybody knows how evil his character is.
I know.
Because that's what Christianity is.
And not only that, like I mentioned earlier when we were watching the movie, is like the way he kept dressing. It's like almost like they want you to hate him. Like, stop dressing like that. The fucking dorkiest clothes.
And the stupidest looking mullet, too.
Oh my god, yeah. It makes me want to watch District 9 on channel. Yeah. Like just
that one, like that I could like rewatch it.
Yeah, I wish Chappie had some District 9 like more aspects, like more violence. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's what I kind of, because I feel like District 9 was more apocalyptic type. Chappie was more like, oh, we're in the new world now. This is the way it is. But I guess that's the different storytelling. Right? Yeah,
they didn't really build much of a world in Chappie.
Yeah.
In District 9, you got more of a sense of like a dystopia kind of thing, because you have the really shitty like slum, so where the aliens are forced to live in really shitty conditions with like asshole like patrol officers hanging around a lot.
Yeah, they really built that shit up in District 9.
That's about it for me in Chappie, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the score 5 out of 10. So the same score as you, only because the thing is, a 5 out of 10 to me is not bad. It's just it didn't reach certain levels, right? Like it could have, but it is what it is. It's not I feel like a 4 is getting bad, and then below that, but a 5's not bad.
Yeah, it's like it's not bad, but also if you think about it too, one of the worst things you could probably say about any kind of medium is that it's generic.
Mm-hmm. Would you,
Like there's nothing more to say on it. There's nothing really to say because like with the 4, I feel like there's more you could talk about with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the 5 because like the story could have been better. They could have, I don't know what the fuck they did with Hugh Jackman. I don't blame the cast. The cast did okay. I just don't feel like it was one of those movies where they don't know what the hell's happening in this movie. They're just acting in it, and
they did a decent job with just talking to nothing.
Yeah.
And then they paste in a robot, and then like it all blended in pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it with Chappie. Good old Chappie.
And what did you see this week, Trey? Spells?
All right. Well, I watched a movie called Shirley, and I've been hearing about it from other reviewers that they watched this film, and it's. Have you ever heard of it at all or anything?
No.
Okay. Well, she was
Tell us about it.
Her name was Shirley Jackson, and she was a writer here, and she would write horror and mystery.
Wait, that's Shirley Jackson. Okay.
Yeah. I knew you would probably I knew you were gonna get it sooner or later when I kept talking more about it, but
but I didn't catch the Jackson part though.
Because I never said her last name earlier. They never even mentioned Jackson even in the film, but we know who this is. But yeah, she writes horror and mystery, and she's I guess wrote for like 20 years, and it says that she's wrote over 200 short stories. So we've probably heard some of those throughout the years, no matter what. Even some of them are made into movies and shows. You know what I mean? But I don't think a lot of people know that. They don't look at like stuff like that, and then maybe that's what drawn my attention because I didn't know she did that either. I just did it for like the reviewers that I watch, and like they talked about the awkwardness to it and all that stuff. So I guess it's like a biography, but it's still a movie at the same time.
Okay. A biopic, if you will.
Yeah, biopic. The most things she's wrote a few things. I won't name them all, obviously, because it says over 200. But there's a show called The Haunting of the Hill House that was on Netflix. Did you ever check that out or heard of it?
No, I've heard of it. Yeah.
So she wrote that whole story, and
wow.
that was the story that like remember it came out in October, and everyone was like talking about it at one time.
A little bit, yeah.
I think it was like 2018 or something like that. But yeah, everyone was talking about this show. It's a really good show. I think you should check it out. And if anyone hasn't, check it out. The Haunting of Hill House. It's just one series season. They're gonna make a season 2, but I guess it's gonna focus just on one character and then take it from there. But it's so good. Like the storytelling's so good. It's like for especially being a horror story. You know what I mean? Like about a house that these kids grew up in. Anyways, that's another story, but that's The Haunting of Hill House made me.
You don't get a lot of stories about that.
Yeah,
horror stories about a house.
Yeah, and well, I guess Stephen King like says that's one of the most important horror novels in this century. So I was like, okay, I'll check this out. She also
like, especially since you brought it up that it's based on a Shirley Jackson literature story. Like that, like I only know one story by her, and like that story was good enough to where like I hear her name involved in something, I gotta check it out.
Isn't that interesting? Because I feel like I heard her name before I even knew anything about her. You know what I mean? Like maybe growing up through school, I might have saw her name on a book multiple times. I guess she's popular for a book called The Lottery and Life Among the Savages. It was The Lottery. You've heard that one?
Yep, that's the one that I read, and that like I was like, wow, this story.
They actually even bring that up in the movie too.
Yeah, it's like definitely one of her most like infamous stories.
That's what I keep hearing, and if they brought that up in the film, then that's probably one of her biggest stories. And I think I was listening to an interview about her. I guess that's one of the things that fans would bring up the most was The Lottery, too. So I looked up The Lottery. I guess there's a 1996 film about it. I haven't watched it yet, but there's a movie called The Lottery that came out in 1996 based on that story. But I haven't watched that yet.
There's also a South Park episode with Britney Spears that's based on The Lottery.
Oh, okay.
Probably like the movie The Lottery. And I also directed a one-act play version of The Lottery in my senior year of high school.
Oh, man, that's great. You don't have that on film, do you?
No, but they did 3 nights of it, and that was interesting.
That's cool.
I
still want to check out The Lottery now that I know about it, but it's still a 1996 film, like a motion picture film that's based on that story.
Okay, so like this biopic definitely like helps you like learn more about this author.
Yeah, how fucking crazy.
Does it like what kind of like person was she? Like, how do they portray her in the movie?
Well, before I get into that, there was one story that she made, and this has always been like one of my favorite films that I've seen. It's called The Haunting, and it's funny that The Haunting is because it's. Have you ever seen it before? It's about so the story of it. I didn't know she wrote that story, but I even bought this the DVD at Bookman's. It's not made on Blu-ray, but it came out in 1999, and the cast is interesting. It's Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Owen Wilson, and like Owen Wilson is in there. He gets his head chopped off in the film.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Now I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite films when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like when I'm like 10 years old, and I had to buy the DVD. But I didn't know she wrote that story. But that was just a quick fun thing I wanted to throw in there.
Yeah,
I was like,
I think Owen Wilson and I think Justin likes to bring up from time to time. He'll say like, "Sounds really creepy." I think that's a line Owen Wilson says in that movie.
I'm sure it would. Like, I mean, it's not a good movie, but like it was fun. It's fun when you're a kid watching that film because it just gives you little spooks here and there. What did you ask about the film here?
About like what kind of like person was Shirley Jackson? What kind of person was Shirley Jackson?
So the actress that plays her is Elizabeth Moss. She did a really good job playing her. She's known for The Handmaid's Tale and quite a few films. The other film she came out with earlier this year was The Invisible Man. She's the star of that film. So that's a little bit Elizabeth Moss, but she plays Shirley. And Shirley, dude, she does a really good job of like just playing. Like if you looked up a picture of Shirley Jackson, you're just like, oh man, that's one ugly woman. You know what I mean? It's like not so ugly, like disgusting, but just like nerdy. Like you could tell she sits in her house and writes a lot of books.
Like the kind of like it's just you're just kind of like yeah. Oh, you're a writer. That's your career. Yeah, keep it that way.
Yeah. But here's the thing too. I learned throughout the film was I guess she had a phobia of being out in public, which made it which made probably her personality worse. She was not good at public, and she even tried going to like a couple like parties here and there, and it was not good. She would just like randomly speak out, yell out something, or and she didn't live very long too. She was born in 1916. She died in 1965. So I think she died like at 49 or something like that. So she didn't get to live too long. I was trying to figure out where this movie was filmed or like the place it was taken. I'm guessing Vermont. Is that a state? I never hear about Vermont. Do you?
True. I mean, like no, that's Wisconsin. I was thinking like that's the state where the cheese comes from, but that's Wisconsin.
Yeah, like you don't hear about Vermont at all. But that
not really, no.
So that's that's where most of the film was at. It came out June 5th, 2020 this year, so it's less than a month old. But it's already out. Like you can, I guess I don't know if you can rent it, but it's on Hulu right now for free. I don't have much to say about it. It's kind of a boring movie. So the story is it's a couple that move into her house to help take care of things around the place. and the dude is going to college, and Shirley's husband is a professor at the college. He's really corny and weird, and he has like a weird club, like it's more like Who's Screwing the Professor type club. I don't know why, but that's the story that's in there. She doesn't find that out until like later on, that like, you're doing really good trying, because her husband her husband is trying to become a professor too, so he's learning from him, the professor they're living together. And she's taking care of Shirley while she's living there, but Shirley's fucking weird as hell, man, like super weird. And then Shirley just gets so involved with her life. There's a lot of there's a lot of imagination, right? 'Cause she's a book writer, so she's gonna have a lot of imagination. Of course, and she's writing horror stories. So what do you think those like imaginations are gonna be? Those like horror stories. So,
she like hallucinates a lot of weird shit.
Yeah, and you're just like, I mean, at least it's not like she'll be caught up in the moment, like when she's doing it. At least it's not like those dream sequences, which I can't stand. You know, where she's like dreaming it, but like no, she'll be acting it out while she's like imagining it, which I love.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I love those type imagination scenes. Like,
and like everybody else like watches her like like wild and out.
Like you could walk in like, why are you on the ground? Like why are you looking that way? You know, stuff like that. So, you know, it's an okay film. It's one of those films that you can like play in the background, or you can look at your phone while you're on and not lose most concentration. You know, but it's interesting that I even put it on. But I didn't know she was a real person. Now I know all about her, and that's the great part. You know, that's the fun thing about learning something that you just randomly put on. You know, like I had no idea she wrote stories. I had no idea she was a real person. I just put it on because, you know, it's new and it came out, and she's a book writer. You know, so that's why I put it on. So
very cool.
That's it with Shirley. The rating on IMDb gave it a 6.1 out of 10. This is another film where, and the cinematography, by the way, was very nice. It's such beautiful shots. Like, that was one of the best things. Like, so much greenery. Yeah, I'm a sucker for greenery and foresty woods and type stuff like that. You know what I mean? The grass, plants. There's even a mushroom scene that was kind of nice. So you know what? I'm gonna have to give that one a 5 too, only because like it could have done a lot more. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna bump it up to. I'll bump it up to a 6 because it is a biography and it is about the last few years of her living. But
okay.
So I'll go with the IMDb. They say 6.1. I'm gonna go with 6.
All right.
Yeah. So that's Shirley.
Shirley. You can't be serious.
That's right. So that was my film. What was your film that you watched?
The movie I watched was Melancholia, directed by Lars von Trier.
Nice.
It stars Kirsten Dunst, Charlotte Gainsbourg. I do want to say that Melancholia has to be the most palatable Lars von Trier movie. Like, even looking at the rating on the back of the Blu-ray, it's rated R. And I can't say for sure that there's like a director's cut, unrated cut, because I know that there are cuts like that for Antichrist and Nymphomaniac, and of course, you know my ordeal with the house that Jack built, trying to find an unrated, fully uncut version of it, but the Blu-ray is only available in Germany or Europe, so it's region 2 or region B, and I can't play it here.
Yeah.
But I still might pick it up one day, just to have it. I gotta have those extra 2 minutes.
For real, you know, sometimes you gotta do it. Like, I would do it for my favorite films. Like, Fight Club had an extra 5 minutes. Fuck it, I'll buy that new that Blu-ray or something. But you said
Hell yeah.
so is the house that Jack built, that's his latest film?
Yes.
Okay. So hopefully he's working on something new, because it's 2020 now. So maybe he's in the middle of something.
Mm-hmm.
You said Kristen Dunst is in this, right?
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst. I saw that Alexander Skarsgård is in this film, and
Yes,
I've been.
I wanted to bring that up.
Obviously his brother's Pennywise.
Mm-hmm.
But
I knew you'd be interested in that.
I'm interested in Alexander Skarsgård because I watched a show with him. I was kind of stuck watching a show, from a girlfriend. But anyways, it was called True Blood. So I got to like that dude for quite a while. So every time I see him now, I just feel like he's a vampire. He even still kind of carries that character, like if he's a vampire or something. You know what I mean? Like
a little bit.
He has like this mysterious look to him. Unless he's acting soft, then it's really weird to me. You know what I mean? Like, oh hey, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? Like I'm just like, what the fuck is that? Because on True Blood, he was the vicious vampire. Like he didn't give no fucks, right?
Okay.
Like he would pretend to be nice on that show. How was he and Kirsten Dunst in this film?
I'll tell you right now, you're gonna be weirded out by him.
Yeah,
because he is actually like pretty soft in the movie.
He's a softie.
Yeah, because the main gist of the story is we're just following kind of Kirsten Dunst and Charlotte Gainsbourg are sisters, and there's two parts to the movie. Part one is Justine, who is Kirsten Dunst's character. Mm-hmm. And part two is called Claire, which is Charlotte Gainsbourg's character. Mm-hmm. And part one, we're following kind of Justine. She just got married to Alexander Skarsgård. They're going to the wedding reception party, and I was afraid that it was going to be like really awkward because like they like those kind of movies, they tend to be like that. It's like stuff like Hereditary or like Midsummer, like those movies where they have those gatherings and it just gets really awkward and everybody starts acting like an asshole to each other, and it's just like, oh, I hate this. I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. Luckily, like things at the wedding reception didn't get as awkward I was worried about it getting. But Kirsten Dunst's character, she we find out is like kind of suffering from some kind of depression. Uh-oh. And it's probably something that's been going on for like a lot of her life. We see some probably like some like instigating of that from like her mom, who was like kind of being a bitch. She literally at one point said, I hate weddings. And then like Claire, Charlotte Gainsbourg's just like, then why did you even come here? It's like, I'm just like, I was about to ask her that myself. What the fuck? Mm-hmm. What are you doing here, bitch?
Yeah.
And then from there on, it's just kind of like kind of slowly, kind of like mopiness, and it doesn't really, honestly, for a Lars von Trier film, it's all like very tame. Mm-hmm. There is like a point where eventually like Kirsten Dunst does like actually end up separating from Alexander Skarsgård. His character was being kind of soft. So he's just like, he's not gonna have an outburst about it because feeling like marrying her, he understands the kind of person she is, and it's just like, shit happens. Yeah. The whole movie is just kind of like dealing the idea of like depression, how like some people might deal with that. Obviously, like Charlotte Gainsbourg playing her sister, she has a little more compassion with it, but there are times where she's just like, I hate you sometimes, Justine. Yeah. That's like one aspect of the movie.
Part one is Kirsten, basically.
Yep.
Well, Justine. And part two is Claire?
Part two is Claire. And that's also where the movie goes more into Melancholia being a planet that is kind of like heading towards Earth. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be going around Earth, like it gets pulled in by the sun and kind of like orbits around that.
Yeah.
Like the gravity like kind of like swings it around and like flings it towards Earth. and it's supposed to go around Earth and like go like away again. And Claire's husband's like some kind of astrologist, so he's really hyped about seeing it. Like he like has like a telescope set up and everything. All the shots with the planet in the sky. There are plenty of shots where it's nighttime and we have the moon and then the planet. They're like the same size, and it looks really realistic looking.
Oh, nice.
And like that's like one of the things that Lars von Trier is really, really good at, is when he wants to have like a beautiful, like well composed shot, well like focused shot. Like he does it, he knocks it out of the park. Especially in the opening of the movie, it's like 5 minutes of like some of the most beautiful like slow motion imagery you could probably ever see in film. You get a little bit of taste of that in the beginning and end of Antichrist.
Yeah.
And but with Melancholia, you get color with that as well, along with a much wider depth of field, like in terms of focus, to where there's nothing blurry. You have like Charlotte Gainsbourg treading through a golf course with her son in her arm, and like she's in focus. There's a golf cart in the background, and that's in focus. And there's like all these row of trees in the background; those are in focus. And you also have like the sky, like clouds, and everything's colorful. It's all like crisp, and it's like amazing. Like visual effects are just on point. I'm pretty sure he had like one of those phantom cameras to shoot those shots in.
What's a phantom camera?
They shoot at like 10,000 frames per second.
Oh.
And they're like, that's what they're specifically designed to do.
10,000 frames per second.
Yes.
What the fuck?
So everything
I didn't even know something like that exists.
So slow. You're able to get every like little bit of detail to, and really at a really high quality as well.
Yeah.
The second part kind of like follows them observing the planet, like getting closer to Earth, as well as Claire kind of like watching over Justine. Like she comes over to stay at their house for a bit, and spoiler alert, the planet is going right for Earth. It's not gonna go around it like Claire's husband said, though it's not really too much of a spoiler, since in the beginning of the movie we see it crashing into the Earth, and it's 20 times the size of Earth as well. So like just imagine, like, what would you do if you saw a planet outside coming right for you? It's filling up the entire sky. It's so huge. And then just crashes in and starts like destroying everything, setting on fire.
Man, I don't know what I would do. Maybe find the next porn video on my phone and just like like get that feeling out of the way first. And
gotta find me some Mia Khalifa.
Yeah, find some release as you're do it. You know what? Actually, time it out.
I can rub one out real quick before the planet swishes
but
us.
You gotta time it out. Like soon as it's about to get to you, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm doing it now." Right when it burns you up, like you gotta become a god by then.
You might as well pull that muscle because you're not gonna need it much longer.
Yeah. But like, who knows what that could turn into? Your DNA just went into the earth, in the sun.
You became Stardust once again.
Yes, and now you just created. Now you're the new god.
Now you're part of the universe.
Wow, that's a really interesting question. At the same time as that was a good answer, right?
It's an interesting question, but Charlotte Gainsbourg and Charlotte Gainsbourg's son, like kind of like sit down together, holding hands, and kind of just wait for it to just wash over them, and then the movie ends right there. Which makes sense because, you know, not much else is going to happen afterwards.
So you were satisfied with the ending?
Well, somewhat. Only satisfied in the sense that, you know, what else do you expect to happen? Especially in a Lars von Trier movie, he has his endings always be kind of blunt and like not really satisfying feeling, but that's kind of like the point. You know, not every ending has to be, you know, a satisfying conclusion.
Exactly, and I feel like you are able to do that with more of Hollywood films. It's easy to, okay, well that's the ending. I'm satisfied. You know. But when
Yeah, because they gotta write a good happy ending, or else
exactly.
people are gonna get upset.
A predictable ass ending.
They're not gonna want to buy your. No, it's better. It makes it even better for the mainstream audience if it's more predictable, because then they know that they're gonna be happy at the end of it, and then they'll buy more movies. But I feel like what's more important is about like how a more like thing you want to look into is how it was built up to that. And like I'm not gonna dive deep too much because the topic of depression, it's not exactly touchy, but like a lot you try to kind of like explain it one way, and a lot of people will tend to like not want to not necessarily agree to it, but to take it in, because you got to be very patient. When it comes to depression, you got to be very kind of like open-minded and kind of like willing to do whatever it takes, do whatever like would kind of like put the person's mind at ease. Like Kirsten Dunst, like at her own wedding reception, just like went upstairs and took a bath, like while everybody else was like partying downstairs and dancing. She's just like alone, just sitting in her bath. And then like she even like takes a nap at one point. She's just like, I don't want to deal.
Wow.
Yep. She's like, I don't want to deal with like any of this right now.
What is her depression? What's her depression though? Like getting married or?
Well, it's just melancholy. Like the textbook definition of melancholy is just,
which is
just sadness for no like obvious reason.
Okay.
And that's like what like depression like a lot of the time is, and like that's why people get so upset by it, especially like the characters in the movie, because they've dealt with it for so long, and they would think that they would understand it by now, but like there's a lot of people dealing with that kind of depression where it's just it's like nothing to understand. It's literally an absence of chemicals, dopamine in the brain.
Yeah,
that's making them depressed.
So it's like a lack of chemicals, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
feel good chemicals.
So it's a depression, but for no reason, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So it's like 2020.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. And she has like the kind of like her Kirsten Dunst's mindset, like in the movie Melancholia, actually like fits pretty well with 2020.
Yeah.
However, like with growing up, I've had my own like depression.
Right.
My girlfriend, she has struggles with her own depression. You got to understand that it's also about like how they deal with that depression.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it, I don't know, I'm still kind of learning, trying to like get a better understanding of mental illnesses and stuff like that. But the way I kind of see it is that once you're a grown-ass adult, mm-hmm. you should be more in tune with your own mentality.
Right, yeah.
So that way, if you feel like you might get, upset easily by something, or you might have an outburst, you're able to catch yourself and, not make yourself, look like a fool in front of everybody.
So,
and I gotta say that, like, maybe because we don't really get enough of like Kirsten Dunst is acting as like a character so much, because it's just the movie is just kind of like blunt, just straightforward. Mm-hmm. So like Kirsten Dunst's character like comes off as she's on like the realist side, that like it doesn't matter what you do with your last moments in life, we're all just gonna burn up and die because this planet is gonna crush us, and
I would say a lot of
squish
people,
us.
Yeah, I would say a lot of people feel like that right now.
Yeah,
honestly.
Like
I've heard that so many times this year, what you just exactly said.
It's a realist mindset, but it's also a pessimistic one. Like, you can be a realist, but you don't have to be pessimistic. That's the way it is, and everything is just bad and it sucks. It doesn't matter what you do. So like almost to the point of like telling us you have to be upset about it, but like really you don't.
Yeah.
And like I've had to like deal with that growing up, and like right now, like I say, I definitely learned a lot about like that, and just to try not to be so pessimistic about that.
Mhm.
I'm still like, I'll be realistic and blunt about like certain stuff, but you always just have to look at have a positive outlook on things,
Yeah.
and it's like really not hard to do.
It's not hard to do, but
Mhm.
you know what makes it harder to do is when media and entertainment
Mhm.
promotes it. That's when it's
Yes.
harder to do.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, I know this is going off topic from the show, but or from the movie, 13 Reasons Why. It's like, why even make that show? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You guys know what you're promoting with all the depression and all that stuff, right?
But
like,
it's based on a book. That makes it good, right?
yeah, well, yeah, that's the way they looked at it, and that's the way I look at my cousin. Like, she, like, because when she hung herself, like in 2017, guess what she was watching?
Yeah.
13 Reasons
13
Why.
Reasons Why.
And they don't, and Holly, and I think there was a bunch of other suicides too after that show.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And it's just like they didn't, like, they knew what they were doing. They were attacking like kids 16 and under that had depression too early. You know what I mean? Like, they knew what they were doing. That's fucking weird ass shit, man.
Do you want to have your own Netflix show? Fucking kill yourself.
Yeah.
Then everyone will love you.
Yep. I don't know if that would be I don't know if that'd be a Netflix show. It might be a comedy stand-up.
You want to know what's you want to know what's real comedy?
What?
The first 5 minutes of 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
That's all I watched. And
is that how far you got?
Oh, that's how far I got. And from there, and that's,
I got further than you then.
I understood everything that was wrong with this show. But yeah, that's just about all I've had to say about Melancholia.
So the rating on IMDb gave it a 7.2 out of 10. What would you like to give it?
I would kind of like
7.2. That's a good score. 7.2.
Oh yeah, definitely a good score. And like, there are some things that kind of like brought it down for me. Just like little nitpicky stuff, and also just the nature of the movie. It's not your typical exciting narrative.
Yeah.
So but in this case though, I would agree with IMDb and give the movie a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. All right. So check it out,
especially
guys.
Yep. If you want to get into Lars von Trier, you've probably heard that name around, and you don't want to get scarred for life.
Yeah.
I'd say Melancholia is a good place to start. A little more palatable.
Yeah.
Not just for like the topics of of his movies, but also just like his art style, his filmmaking style. A lot of shaky cam. Alright, so now let's get into our final movie of the week, the topic movie of the episode, which is Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Yes.
Directed by Issa Lopez. And
Issa
written by her
Lopez.
as well. It is a Spanish film from Mexico, and it takes place in Mexico City, and it follows a group of orphans who are displaced by the cartel, the gang in town, and they just kind of try to make it out. It's just them trying to survive.
Yeah, it's like a fairy tale with some children and a cartel mixed all up in one.
Yeah.
And they all have some history with this cartel. And they try to get some revenge, but they can't do it physically. They're going to have to do it spiritually.
With the help of 3 wishes that the main girl, Estrella, she gets from her teacher. While she's teaching about fairy tales, they have a shooting go on at their school. Everybody ducks down, and I'm pretty sure Americans audiences can relate to that aspect more.
Nowadays they can. Yeah, it took a while, but now it's normal.
It kind of goes into a monkey's paw sort of thing, where she makes a wish, it doesn't turn out exactly as she expects, and Yeah, and then it just kind of goes on from there. It's the movie. It doesn't really have any like established goal set up right away.
So they used a lot of like well, they didn't use a lot of special effects, but they used some special effects uh to use certain things that was around her that she could use to make a wish, right?
Yeah, like certain fantasy, like
Elements.
imaginary things. Yeah,
Mhm.
will happen around her. Like the graffiti, will start to animate. There's points where like she uses a gun, and the
Mhm.
serpent pendant on it kind of comes to life and slithers away, leads her to the
Yeah.
kidnapped kids that she was kind of like looking for. The movie has a really interesting way of kind of setting up the fantasy elements.
Mhm.
It's you can also perceive it as just, it's very grounded for the most part.
Oh,
Like a
yeah.
lot of the stuff is could just be, her kind of like Estrella kind of imagining it to kind of like make better sense of like everything that's going on. But there's
Yeah.
also like, it's not exactly like clairvoyancy. I still don't know, like I was trying to like think of the word for it when we watched it, but it's made kind of apparent like she has like this ability to talk to the dead. It starts off kind of at first like it could just be, oh, it's like the monkey's paw thing. She wishes, her first wish is for her mom to come back, and she comes back as like a ghoulish kind of zombie creature, and that's how you kind of find out that her mom was killed early on in the movie. As the movie goes on, her communicating with like characters who just died, it starts to become more and more of an asset. She's able to like find out like where certain events are happening because spirit will come and tell her about it.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole movie, her mom as well as other spirits are telling Estrella,
Mhm.
come with me, come with me, take him to us, and we'll get our revenge. Basically, we'll bring him back, and
Yeah.
if that eventually leads to the end of the movie where she's able to kind of like get the gang leader Chino trapped, and one of the kids who died, his spirit like sets the room that he's in on fire, kind of much like how he Shine, how he lost his family in a fire that was set up by gang members.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about that. That's how
Mm-hmm.
he really did lose his family, was the fire.
Yep.
Um,
And in the end, his spirit gets vengeance.
yeah. I love the ending part. Like, I don't think you can end this type of movie in a different way. Like, the
It's
way it went.
tough, especially since kind of just thinking about where do you go from here, because she's still an orphan. I don't know like what's the situation was with her dad. All we
Uh-huh.
know is that it's just her mom that was around, and now she's gone too, and it's just not really apparent that she has any other family. So now she's just like all the other orphans. They're living on the street. Like there is that feeling of closure. She leaves that kind of like run down like gang hideout building to a field of like, like some flowers, like tall grass, and
Hmm.
thinking beyond that, where does it go?
It just reminds me of like new beginnings. Like, hey, let's start something new, something healthy. Like, you're
Yes.
seeing all this green. Like, you're seeing all of like, bad parts of whatever they want to show of Mexico. But until we get to the end, and then she's like releasing all that, and then she gets, to the nature, because there wasn't a lot of nature in the film, right?
Mm-mm. It was
And
all like urban, run
yeah,
down,
exactly.
abandoned.
Until the end of the film, then you get to that nature part where you're just like, oh, I'm so released from all that. Let's see where this new life gets me.
And that's the thing, we don't see where it goes.
Yeah,
And that's like one of the things that like those kind of endings, they're fine, but that's just it. They don't
that's
get
just
any
it.
better.
Yeah, like, I don't
That
know.
isn't to say like for the rest of the movie though. The rest of the movie I feel like is fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
All with the cast of mainly like young children, like hardly even 10, some of them.
Yeah, great cast, great kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's like very like lived in, as also like just like the way that they're like kind of like acting. They kind of like have that machismo to them. They're kind of like trying
Yeah.
to be tough, but it's because the situation they're in is so shitty. They don't want to be upset or like sad about it because that's no way to survive it. That's kind
Yeah.
of like how you end up getting caught and killed.
Yeah. And I love movies like that where it's just very so simple, but it's got a good story to it. It's got a little fantasy to it. It's
Yeah,
certain vibes to it, you know.
it brought
And
an interesting vibe to it, and like the fantasy elements are definitely like it's so like those the effects are also again like are really well done in this movie,
oh
especially in the
yeah.
movie another movie with a lot of shaky cam that has
Yeah.
really good effects.
Yeah.
Like we got Chappie in the beginning of the movie, and then we got Melancholia, and now Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Yeah.
They're all like handheld, but with great visual effects,
hmm
which makes it even harder because they're handheld or shoulder rigged.
Yeah. And and it's a different type of film that I think most people should watch because it's not your Hollywood type film.
Oh no.
It's not your regular Spanish film that you would watch. Like I gotta like the essence of the kids was very fun to me.
And the only other thing I really have to say that kind of like brings the movie down a little bit for me is just like in the climax, because there was like a group of was like 4 kids,
Right.
and then and towards the climax, 2 of them run away, and then it just focused on the last 2, Shine and Estrella, and we don't get to see what happened to the other 2 kids that ran off. They're kind of like forgotten about in the story.
Yeah.
That's my only other thing. I don't like it when movies do that. They just forget about characters,
Yeah.
and we don't get any closure with them.
I get that.
Like we don't even like find out if they were like taken away or killed or anything. Other than that, though, that's like my only like qualms with the movie I have. Everything else was great. Like like you saw me, like I immediately bought it, the Steelbook Blu-ray for it on Amazon.
Yeah, you were very excited after the film.
Yeah, this is like the first time in a long while where like I was so happy after watching a movie
that you needed to buy it.
Yep.
That's awesome. I want to throw a quick few things out there.
Yeah,
you can watch it on Shudder. That's where we watched it on.
I'm actually kind of surprised that we haven't brought up that we watched it on Shudder. Because usually when we watch something on there, we first start off by saying it's a Shudder exclusive, or we watched it on Shudder. And surprised it took us this long. Yeah.
IMDb gave it a 7 out of 10. What would you like to give it?
Nope, too low. Gotta give it an 8 at least.
Give it an 8.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And the reason I give it a 9 out of 10 is because the film that it is, like, I know it's not the greatest film in the world, I know it's not going to match up to those 9 out of 10s, but the film that it is, right? It's a 9 out of 10 because it deserves it, like, what it was trying to be. Being a very low budget film, The film that I was trying to make was not your regular type of Hollywood movie. It wasn't trying to accomplish anything, honestly. That's what I love about it. Wasn't trying.
They just wanted to get like
I want to get a good story.
And also that this is what's happening in Mexico. Children are being like orphaned and left to live on the streets.
Yeah.
That made everything like all the more sadder. It was a mix of Monkey's Paw with Narcos and a fairy tale.
To wrap this up, Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Yeah.
We gave it you gave it a 8.
That's right.
And I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So check it out. It's on Shudder right now.
Yeah. Or buy the Blu-ray. Definitely worth a buy.
Yeah, fucking help the movie out. Fucking.
Hell yeah. Like, I wish I could have gone out to seen it when it was in theaters.
Yeah. So go watch it.
Yeah. Check it out.
Subscribe to Shudder.
Yes. They didn't pay us to tell you that. Just do it.
I know, but they should. All All right, so that wraps it up, right?
Yep, that does it. Episode 7 in the bag.
Episode 7 in the bag.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in, and be sure to check us out again next week for another episode of Monolith and Mythos, the Monstro Studio podcast. We're talking about more movies and stuff going on. So thanks again for listening. Have a good evening.
Bye.
And have a good weekend.
Yes.
4th of July weekend.
Happy 4th of July.
America.
America! Deuces.